or hashish, I should say. Yeah, this is another book here. I'll bring it to the 420. I won't pass it around, but Orgies of the Hemp Eaters, which also documents, around the world these various uses. And there's many places where it is still used today in all these traditional forms. Like I flashed past the picture in Jamaica, a country that has pretty much since they started to bring black people as slaves across the waters, there has been ganja growing in Jamaica, and some really, really good stuff at times. They've embraced the culture and really, if there's anywhere on the planet that it's doing well in some sense, it would be Jamaica, despite the laws. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on Prop 19. But yeah, like I say, in Spain, like they're having huge rallies for cannabis in Spain. There's like Spanish magazines and stuff. I can't read them. It's so frustrating to see a pot magazine I can't read. But at the same time, it's great to see them in other languages, I'll tell you. Yeah, in Africa, there's certain places in Africa where they smoke it in traditional methods, and they're never going to quit. They've never seen prohibition. There's one pygmy tribe that still exists in Africa that claims to have smoked and used ganja since the very beginning of days, kind of thing. Like, so there are pockets of people around the world, like these folks in India that the picture is in, where ganja and their gods and goddesses and the evolution of life itself are totally intertwined. So, yeah, I guess Mexico will lead into it. If there's anywhere in the world that shows how important legalization is, it is Mexico. There are so many people dying down there. I believe there is 27,000 people that were directly killed in slayings in 2009. It's roughly 2,000 people a month being murdered, shot. I've heard of horrific stories like gangs going to, like celebrations, birthday parties of city officials and just like shooting all the women and children that they could just to get it through to the police that they shouldn't be harassing the drug cartels. It's a horrible nightmare down in Mexico, and it's not because Mexicans are on drugs killing each other, or killing each other because they're cutting each other's turf in Mexico. The problem is the money that's being made shipping these drugs to the United States from the production facilities in Central America and South America and in Mexico. Like, there are lots of areas in Mexico where they've got huge fields of cannabis, and they've got guns every 100 yards with, people making sure that it's not being touched, and it's being guarded from the time it's planted to the time it crosses the United States border. And it is really a situation that's completely out of control. I believe now Philip Calderon is he the current one? Anyway, Vincent Fox, I think, was the one before. That's right. He just recently declared that legalization needed to be considered. That makes him, I think, the last 5 outgoing presidents of Mexico that have come to the conclusion that this war on drugs is an absolute nightmare and that we need to legalize it. Yep.
I heard recently, last August, I think it was, that Mexico decriminalized a lot of drugs, and what we said Portugal was done.
There have been several attempts by the Mexican government to decriminalize the simple possession of small drugs. To my knowledge, every single one... Oh no, wait. Until last year, you're right. I was just going to say, for a while there, they were all being thwarted. But yeah, they have decriminalized the simple possession of small amounts. And that was about, maybe last year even.
It was last August.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, at first I was thinking of some other stories, but no, I have heard that. But I don't think that the simple possession was being enforced very much before that. it is a good sign. Before that, the U.S. government kept stopping them. I'm surprised that that didn't get reversed somehow. But Mexico certainly is proving the need to legalize and regulate drugs. So anyway, Prop 19 down in California. It's so neat, all the things happening down there. It started in some sense with Prop 215 back in 1996 in California. The medical use of it was made legal. At the time, most proponents of it that were really behind it, and people, you know, kind of you know, the middle class Americans, you could say, were wanting it to be for medical necessity. Well, it hasn't been quite that. In a sense, you pretty much need like $75 and you go up to a doctor and they set up clinics all over the place and you pay your money, sign the forms, you get a state of California medical marijuana card. It is that easy. I've heard it confirmed in so many ways. Personally, it's in movies. I'm not exposing something that's not legit or not happening. On the other hand, 61,000 Californians still got busted last year for simple possession. So the people that are being charged are people that didn't have the $75 in the first place to fork out for a license when they should be able to use it anyway, and just kind of get caught accidentally. You know, young people that either don't think they need it because, again, like the gradual impression is that cannabis use isn't that big of a deal, and you know, it's not enforced, you know, very much by officials in all sorts of places. And it really is like county to county as well. So you can't just say California is this, because it's broken up just like most of the states is. And there's interesting questions of the division of power between what rights the states have to change these laws and whether the federal government supersedes their laws. And so, you know, there's all sorts of things being worked out in court still, even about Prop 215. And so Prop 215 wasn't perfect, but in some ways it really cracked it open, because now there's thousands of dispensaries in California. I have no idea how many are really there. There's a bunch of newspapers and magazines, really fancy glossy stuff. I got, yeah, this one here. There's all sorts of just amazing things coming out of California. And it's weird with this Proposition 215 because I haven't read every part of it, to tell you the truth. I'm so busy fighting S10 because our government wants mandatory minimums. It's so strange. Our government wants to throw everybody like me in jail. It's even stranger. Mark Emery's going to spend his time in California here. Yeah. But you know, so you know, I'm fighting S10. I haven't read every rule of Prop 19, so I can't say I'm up to speed on it. It sounds like from some critics that this could be almost some of the worst possible legislation that we could think of. And to tell you the truth, in some sense, that's really sucks that the rules may be favoring corporations in some sense and making it more restrictive for medical users, or somehow cutting down the number of plants you can grow, or giving too much power to the cities. I'm not sure. The critics have got all sorts of paranoias, and despite what seems to be reasonable arguments, they're still bent on them. But the impression that people in California have, and the rest of the United States and the rest of the world, is that this is a vote to legalize cannabis for not just medical uses, but just full-out legalization. And the fact that it is on the table in California has meant that, for one, the media has gone and discussed this topic, you know, on a weekly basis more than they were for months at a time. Like, you know, CNN and you know, Time, some of the top news agencies in the country, and often, you know, the direction of the news folk and others is towards the legalization of cannabis. Whatever rules come into effect in California, they're going to be fought one way or another, I have no doubt. And anyone who thinks that the regulation of cannabis is going to happen overnight and suddenly we're going to come up with this wonderful smart system where, you know, the growers and the consumers and the tax collectors and the business owners and the health consultants and everybody's perfectly happy, like, what a wonderful world. I kind of see that happening in a cartoon 100 years from now. But it's not going to happen overnight. And it's really frustrating to see, like, there's a coalition of, like, dispensaries in California fighting Proposition 19 when they should be putting efforts towards the next ballot. There's a Jack Hare initiative coming up for 2012, I think it is. And they need to be proactive and work towards better regulations instead of, you know, worrying about every little nuance here. The fact is that Prop 19 is going to not only change the state of California in a rather significant way, but the rest of the world is suddenly going to look and go, well, California's legalizing it. You go down to some of the, you know, most world famous beaches in California right now, and there's like pot stores lined up and down the street with cute little girls on rollerblades, you know, telling you how much the pot costs, and the ice cream is at the, you know, place that they're missing. And, you know, the rest of the world is looking at this green rush that California is seeing right now, and they want in on it. Cannabis isn't going to cause any problems in society as a plant. You know, we're going to end up fighting over the money. That's where we're going now. And in some sense, that's not a very good thing. But that's what the world does, is it fights over money. We want to stop going to jail. And it really looks like Prop 19 is going to be a huge step towards that not happening anymore. And so, yeah, you know, cannabis around the world is changing right now. I hope to stand in front of you a year from now and list on this chalkboard the number of countries that are legalizing, have legalized, or are going to legalize cannabis. Maybe we'll like make categories of them from now on. Thank you everybody for coming. Next week's lecture is, but
the gentleman from Hempology Company's coming.
Oh yeah! Oh Jesus!
You're welcome.
Phil from Hempology Company is going to be here to talk about all the hemp products that his store and is on the market and things like that. And I'll be bugging him in class about us getting a hemp building and construction company happening here on the West Coast. And so yeah, I'm going to surprise him with that in class, I think. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming out, and yeah, Bill's here from the company. Have a great week. Smoke what you got.